Welcome to MLM Nation, a podcast of leaders, by leaders, for leaders, hosted by Simon Chan. He's built a team of over 200,000 and is now a full-time MLM coach and trainer. So if you're ready to level up your business, join us now. Let's do this.
Hey, what's up, MLM Nation? This is Simon Chan, and today we have a special episode. Someone asked me a question. Give her a shout out. She's a purpose-driven networker, Alejandra, and she from Mexico, and she asked a couple great questions. And I figured that I'm going to answer those questions. And by the way, you can follow Alejandra. She's a part-timer as a mom, but making things happen in the business. And I want to give her a shout out. So I'll put a link in the show notes page. You can follow her. But I wanted to answer these questions because I feel like it will benefit you as well to learn about the thinking and some of the mentors and lessons and routines that I have. All right. So anyway, it is, as I'm recording this is a couple of days before it goes live. It's maybe like 5 days before you're probably going to watch this or see this. And I just got back from a long 2 months vacation. Right? I call it a vacation because there were a couple of days I was back home. But even when I was back home, it was endless baseball tournaments. We had like from the Monte Carlo, it was an awesome mastermind with Rob Sperry. I'll be going to the next one, the Leaders of Leaders Mastermind in Pirates Cove in Nevada in October, and then came back for a Father's Day tournament, and then for a 5-day baseball tournament, and then went to the following week, a 6-day tournament. Then right after we drove up 6 hours to Stanford University for a 3-day baseball camp. Got to see my brother and some really close friends. Just being in that area was very motivating for me too. I love that Silicon Valley, that go, very entrepreneurial environment. Being there and then coming back, went straight to San Diego, I went home to sleep for 6 hours and drove to San Diego to watch my second son win his tournament, which is really cool. Got some family bonding time, hang out with a good friend as well. And then coming back, and then what else? And with another 3-day baseball tournament, and then summer league, and then summer league, 2 weeks of that, in and out, private lessons, and then went to New York for almost 3 weeks. Went to Cooperstown for that, and what else? Oh, a lot of stuff. Got to see one of my Cooperstown tournament. It was a 6-day tournament. Got to see 2 of my best friends. Out of one in Philadelphia, one in New York. We hung out for 3 times. Got to see my parents, and then finally back home last week. So now I'm back to normal schedule. We'll be here. I'm going to the Ray Higdon event, Faith Over Fear. If you're not going there, you can't make it. Hey, go get the live stream. I'll put a link there below. Also link in the show notes page. So you definitely want to check it out. Great speakers out there. And the following week, I'm speaking at a company convention, which is very exciting. Just 1 or 2 days speaking, and then coming back in the fall baseball season is about to start. And I minimize my traveling during the weekends. All right, so let me go right to the questions with a little updates. And one of the cooler things is during the summer league game, it's not that serious, it's very laid back and casual. But one of my sons, my second son, his team needed players. And so my youngest one got to play up. He was able to handle it. He actually did pretty well, walked twice, struck out once. And my oldest son played. And it was really cool having all 3 boys playing on the same team. Probably the only time, but I wouldn't say only time, one of the few times it happens. So that was really cool, very sweet. So anyway, let's talk about these questions. First question is, and I think this will help you out, is what made you decide to enter the field in which you are successful? So what made me go into network marketing? And that was really simply, I didn't know anything about network marketing. No one ever approached me about network marketing, but I had read Rich Dad Poor Dad through a referral. So a friend told me I needed to read that book. I read that book. And if you never read that book, it basically says that if you want to be financially free, you need to have a business. Otherwise, you could be working for someone else for a long, long time. If you want to have freedom early on, time flexibility, like to go on a 2-month vacation, you need to work for yourself, right? Not to say you can't make a lot of money working for a job, but you always have to go somewhere. So that got me into looking for something that gives you passive income, making money even when you're not working. I looked at different things like real estate, which I didn't have any money to do. I was at a job that I loved, but paid very, very poorly. And the only thing I could do was was network marketing. I actually thought of doing a franchise before, running a Subway sandwich franchise store, but I just didn't have the money for a startup. I didn't want to take out a loan. And I realized you have to work the sandwich store basically every day for the first year or so to learn it before you can actually hire out. And you really don't make you're making only 40, maybe lucky 50, 60,000. On the low end, 20,000 per store. And you don't really make any money until you open your 5th or 6th store. And you got to work them. So I realized that doesn't really sound like, financial freedom or time flexibility or time freedom. And my dad, I grew up in the upper middle class. He was a doctor, very successful. And I always grew up as like one of the richest kids in a public school, but he never had much time for us because he was always working. So I wanted it's not about the money, but the flexibility, time, freedom, right? And by the way, there's no such thing as freedom when you have kids, because like I said, my kids are not home right now, but when they come home, that's why I'm recording this, because I know I wouldn't be able to do this when they come home. So time flexibility. I've never had the time flexibility working for someone. That's why I chose network marketing, because this is the only way where the average person, I didn't have any business skills, didn't have any speaking skills. I never did any marketing or selling. I was scared to talk to people, could have a chance to live the life you want. And so thanks to Rich Dad Poor Dad, I also read Wave 4, the book by Richard Poe, Wave 4 Network Marketing, Wave 3 Network Marketing. And Network Marketing for Dummies was the book that really built my belief too, because that book said, number one, it's the part of the Dummy book series. If you don't know it, I'm dating myself. That used to be very popular, Dummies series. And I figured if it was a Dummies, the publisher will print that book, then it's definitely legit. But it also said that if you stay with the same company for 5 years or more and don't quit, you can make full-time income. And for me, I don't want a full-time income. I said to myself, I wanted 6 figures. So if I don't make 6 figures after 5 years, then I'm quitting. But if I quit before 5 years, then I'm cheating myself, because it's proven if you do the business every single day, right, and treat it like a business, not like a hobby, working on the income producing activities, working the DMO, you will make them, you will get that income. So that's what I did. So that's what made me decide. It was just out of necessity. That's the only thing I could do. And then what got me into coaching was basically, I always loved the profession. I mean, I never saw myself as being a lifetime builder in network marketing. I wanted to do different things. I wanted to do, my plan was to build for 5 years, then go on to do real estate, open different businesses, restaurants and stuff like that. But the more I knew about network marketing, how awesome it was, I didn't want to leave. And I stayed for 10 years. And then basically out of just people reaching out to me because of my success, asking for help, I started a coaching business. To make a long story short, that's how it started back in 2012. I initially dabbled a little bit just to see if I liked it. And then when I really liked it, I made the commitment was, hey, I'm going to go full time. I still get paid a 6-figure residual from network marketing, from my network marketing business, but I want to go be full time and be a generic coach. So since April 2013, I've been full-time generic coach. And have not recruited anyone, done anything. I've been full-time, but I still get a 6-figure passive income, but I am a generic coach. So that's how I started. And then we launched the podcast. I had some a lot of challenges in the beginning. Building a network marketing business is way easier than being a coach. Way, way easier. Had a lot of challenges in the beginning, but you never give up, right? And my breakthrough was on a plane ride to Sydney, California, came up with the idea to start a podcast, which is way before anyone else did podcasts. Or interviews. We started that way back in 2015. So that's how it started. And now it's 8.5 years later. You're watching this, and we're still going on strong of ML Nation. So the question is, who are some of your mentors, right? And I'm wearing my hat backwards today because I just want to be a little different instead of just relaxed and be myself, right? This is the me, real me. That's why I love working at home. Some people like to dress up. I don't. My wife always says I should dress up. I don't like to dress up. I just like to be casual all the time. So who are some of your mentors? Some of my mentors, obviously there's different type of mentors. Mentors like I would study them and knew every single book, every audio, and multiple times, right? And there were people like Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar. And I call them my mentors, even though they didn't directly work one-on-one with me. They're my mentors because I listened to every audio they created, whether the Art of Exceptional Living, I listened to literally 50 times. And recently, I just listened to it again. I knew I can almost know the music, the soundtrack, everything, right? I knew every word. I read every book of his. That's a huge mentor of mine at the beginning. Zig Ziglar, Secrets to Closing the Sale, Selling One-on-One, See You at the Top, right? I would read and study over and over again where I felt that they were like my best friends. And every time I didn't feel like doing something, I'll envision these two guys, they're watching over me. right? Watching over me. Another one was Brian Tracy. Brian Tracy, The Psychology of Selling, which I must have listened to it 100 times. I could not sell. I just listened to that advanced selling strategy over and over and over again. I will gift that to my downlines. Actually, one of my top leaders became a superstar in terms of getting customer sales because of that. Just listening over and over again, right? Brian Tracy is another one. These are all people who are a little bit older, back in the early 2000s. They were huge, way before the current gurus today. It was like the Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, Brian Tracy, Dr. Denis Waitley, who I actually met and worked with him in person, talked to him. He spoke to me in person, did small mastermind sessions for us at our retreats. He had a huge impact on me with his, especially with his book, Psychology of Winning. That was huge. In fact, I actually recently got that book right here. I got that book for my son to read, The 10 Seeds of Greatness by Dr. Denis Waitley, right? And he's getting up there in age, huge impact on me. And I still remember, he said, I see something special in you, Simon. And this was back in maybe 2005 and 2006, and that had a lifetime impact. And he remembered me. I remember you, And then we did this workshop, and then like a couple months later on the call, right, he immediately saw my name, started talking. That was really, really cool. Dr. Denis Waitley. Other mentors was Tim Sales was a mentor of mine. And then the one person that I worked directly one-on-one with, huge shout out. I definitely will not be here without him. He was the one who I couldn't stand in the beginning. Well, he's like the trainer in the gym that you hate him because he pushed you so hard. Sometimes you want to even punch him in the face. You couldn't stand the way he was pushing you hard. He would push me really hard in the business and never take an excuse. He was always say, you can make money or make excuses, Simon. You're making excuses right now. He always say, you can make money or make excuses, but it seems like you're making excuses right now. And that would, he always would push me hard and never let me off the hook and never let me talk myself out of greatness. And I hated him for a while until one day, my aha moments, right? Instead of like he always say, who are you prospecting? You got to prospect. You got to do this. You got to reach out to the person and just drilling. He's like the army sergeant, just pushing. And it worked for me, right? He knew the type of personality I was. I definitely wanted it. I was willing to pay the price. And he, like, for example, I didn't want to go to a company event. And at that time, he helped me do 3-ways and we got a couple of signups. He's like, well, Simon, if you don't go to the event, I'll never do a 3-way for you. You're off on you by yourself. I was like, oh, crap. And I went and I got really angry at him, but I'm so grateful because right after the event, the next week I had my breakthrough. I had my first $1,000 a week. That event totally changed my perception of the business. And it was a whole mindset thing. I've talked about that before, but that was my huge aha moment back in 2004. It was April, I think it was late March or early April of 2004 in the San Diego Convention Center. Dramatic, life-changing event for me there. So Steve Swartz, I still keep in touch with him. His daughter was the flower girl at my wedding. Big shout out to Steve Swartz. Again, you can follow him on social media. I still chat with him all the time, text him. He is, and I still remember 2 years ago, he took me to the Rams game when the Sophie Stadium opened up. Awesome, good dude. I'll put the link where you can follow him on the show notes page. All right, next question is, what 5 books? And by the way, there were also other mentors along the way. The late Mike Ray, who basically taught me how to build internationally. And sadly, he passed away about 2 years ago. But I don't want to talk too much about him, but it gets me sad. But we shared an apartment together in Kuala Lumpur for about a year and a half. I learned a lot from him. Also learned what not to do because leaders are not perfect. But he was a big mentor of mine as well. Next question. What 5 books have made the greatest impact on your leadership? So I thought about this one. Number 1 is the Bible. Right? Because I think all wisdom, all books come from the Bible. Any self-development book you read, it comes from some type of Bible verse in there, from Proverbs. Most of them come from Proverbs or Ecclesiastes, or a lot of the parables from Jesus' parables. So that's definitely the number 1 source that I read daily. And I read Proverbs every single day. Okay. Number 2 is 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. Okay. That is a very, very famous book. 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. If you never read that book, then you are not a leader. Go read that book. Another book is Daily Leadership Lessons by Maxwell. And recently I stopped reading that book. This is one of those daily devotionals. And I think I have it here somewhere. And in fact, couple years ago, I may not have it convenient right now. Couple years ago, I actually had John Maxwell autograph it for me, which was really cool. I met him, talked to him, and he said, "Hey, if you send," I told him what a big impact that book made for me, leadership lessons, for the spiritual leaders, something like that. I will put the link in the show notes page. But it was a daily devotional based on a biblical verse, and you'll talk about the lesson from the Bible and how you can apply that to your business and your daily lives. And I actually met John Maxwell and told him about it, and he said, "Hey, mail it to my office. I'll sign it for you." So that was a huge one. John Wooden on leadership, huge impact. I still remember exactly. The books that made an impact. You remember exactly where you were. I was exactly in my Kuala Lumpur apartment in 2007 when I was reading that book. Okay, Wooden on leadership. Another book is How to Win Friends and Influence People. It is more like a networking communication book, but it's also a leadership book, right? How can you win friends or influence people if you don't know what touches their hearts? So that's one. And then Talent is Overrated by Geoff. Kind of boring book, but one of huge impact on me when I read it. I think I read it in 2009, still remember, is that people think people are talented, have an advantage. Talent is overrated. If you look at all the great ones, whether it's the Tiger Woods, the Mozart, right? Whether it's the Michael Jordans, the Kobe Bryants, talent is overrated. They do crazy things that most people won't do, and that's why they're great. So talent is overrated. And again, I'll put all these links in the show notes page. All right, next and last question is, what daily learning or self-improvement habits do you have? Number one, wake up in the morning, I read the Bible. Okay, I read the Bible. I don't spend hours reading it, just something short. I read Proverbs. Ecclesiastes, one chapter a day, and every day. And after I'm done, I go back to the beginning again. I read that. I've been doing that for a couple of years. I also, the daily learning is a podcast. Podcasts always change. I'm also reading at least 5-10 minutes a day on something. Whether it's a book, a newsletter, or something I am reading, always learning. There's never a day where I'm not listening or reading something. Yeah, since I learned about self-development in 2004, I've been doing it every single day. Right now, some days definitely more. Some days 10, 15 minutes. Some days only 1, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. But I'm always something every day. Even if I'm not listening to podcasts, there's newsletters I get in my inbox that I read and I get. Right? Whether it's about business or about thinking, positive thinking, or about being a better parent, better spouse, I'm always reading something. Another important thing is self-improvement habit. I've been exercising 7 days a week since I was, really, really young. Right, that's really important. I'm super grateful. Some people used to think I was a health freak when I was younger, but now that I get older, it's definitely the best investment I've had. One thing that I started a few years ago, about maybe 10 years ago, is at the end of each night, I always list out, I talk about this in my book, The Consistency Pill, is I always write down what are 3 new things I'm grateful for. Okay, 3 new things I'm grateful for, and a series of questions. Like, what was your highest high? What was your lowest low? What was your best habit? What was your worst habit I had? What was your best emotion? What was your worst emotion? Right? And then what was your biggest asset and your biggest liability? Right? So biggest asset could be my speaking ability. My biggest liability could be I didn't sleep enough. I was tired. And I couldn't work as long as I wanted to. That would be an example, right? So those questions, I'll put these questions in the show notes page. And I also list out 3 wins I've had, 3 things I did well, and those are 3 things I could have been better. And I've been doing that for the last 10 years. And those have been big game changer because self-development, self-improvement, or learning, it's not just learning, it's actually what you take action on. And you can't take action until you have any sense of awareness. So this makes me aware of what's actually happening in my life. What's happening, right? What's happening, how am I growing? And maybe I'm not growing. I'm listening to this podcast, but I'm still making the same mistakes, right? So for the longest time, I knew I needed to sleep more. And I could use excuses like kids or whatever. But I listened to a podcast about sleep is the best medicine. And I realized every night, I need to sleep more. I got tired of writing that. And that motivated me, got me to start taking action. Right. So that's a very important, it's not necessarily learning or reading. And by the way, that exercise doesn't take me that long. It takes me only 3-4 minutes, but maybe sometimes less, maybe 2 minutes, but way more, very, very valuable. It's just as valuable as reading or listening to podcasts. If you just binge listening to podcasts, it doesn't really do any good. You have to say, hey, I learned something. Am I going to take action on it? It's what you take action that, again, in business, it's not about how much you learn that makes you money. It's what you take action on that is going to make you money. So anyway, that's all I have. Appreciate you still for watching this. Hey, 2 things. This took a lot of my time to do. I know it went a little longer than I initially planned to. But hey, subscribe. If you couple things, subscribe on YouTube, leave a comment there. Also subscribe on your podcast and leave us a review. That would really mean a lot and keep me going and keep me fired up. And I would like to know whether you like this or not. All right, everyone, that's what I have. Hey, all the resources will be in the show notes page there. Go to mlmnation.com. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Appreciate you all. And remember, take action on what you learned and go out there and have a positive impact in someone's life. God bless you all.